Okay. Very useful strategy, I believe so. Okay. Then here comes to my next question will be so sometimes we focus too much on probably the students' English proficiency levels, but the goal of EMI course, of course, is to convey knowledge and foster communication. So do you have any tips with dealing with, for example, like weird or maybe not very clear accents, whether from professors or students? Yeah, what do you think?
This is a very interesting question. Okay, so how do we define a standard accent? Okay, so think about the question. Would it bother you if someone talks to you in a different accent? I asked the question to all the participants because I want to perceive speaking in different accents as an issue. We all have our own accents, right? As a result of different education and cultural backgrounds. And we all teach our students do not have stereotypes towards each other, and nor do we judge the other's culture based on our own culture. And this is the core of a CQ. So I really have no clue how to answer your question properly, but I do understand where the question came from, because there are some instructors that you may find it difficult to articulate students speaking in different accents, especially students from India or from Mexico, right? I do have experience like that. So my suggestion is that we as instructors just need to be humble and ask the students to rephrase it again, okay? And try your best to understand his or her questions or statements. And sometimes I even have some tricks that I will throw the question to the whole class and ask if anyone can answer such questions or make a summary about the statements just raised by the original one. And then I can buy myself some time to think about how should I respond to the question by myself. So that's my tactics.
Okay. Sounds very reasonable for me. Okay, as well. Okay. Yeah. Basically, yeah. This kind of no so-called the final definition of what's so-called standard accent, because as foreigners, right, when we're speaking English, of course, we probably have our own country's accent. That should, of course, 100% should be totally fine. Okay. The reason that somehow I come up with this question is that either from the professors or from the student side, okay, when I'm doing the mentoring, sometimes they will complain about, wow, the professor has some kind of accent, and I believe that maybe 60% or 70% of us probably cannot understand either from the students or from the professors. Okay, so that's why I come up with this question. But I believe that the tactics that you mentioned probably could be quite useful for us. Okay.
I'm more curious, how should you respond to the students like that? If the students complain about the professor's accent, how would you respond to them?
Okay. What I respond to them is that I think students' adaptability I think it's not only about accent. Sometimes it's about maybe teaching methodology or the way the professor talks. Maybe you will like it, maybe you don't like it, maybe you feel comfortable, maybe you don't feel that comfortable in the probably the first few weeks. So I will ask them to try to listen, to try to be a little bit more patient. And somehow I would also ask them if the professor has any notes, if there's any like slides, or when in the course, do they have any written material? Because lots of times the written material or the presentation slides could be super helpful for the students if they probably cannot really adapt to the accent, for example, for the first few weeks. But some international students reflect to me about that they need time to get used to knowing some accent. For example, I forget how to pronounce, but after they get used to maybe when the professor are pronouncing or the students are pronouncing some words, they will pronounce it in a particularly way, and they know that, oh, so that actually means that in what he understand in a more comfortable way, then it will helpful for them afterwards. But they need some time to get used to it. So I think somehow it just reflect to what you have mentioned about your questions about. I will also try to compliment on them, their adaptability, and saying that you can do it. I believe that it's also a training, because in the future, if you're going to study in other countries, you will never know what kind of accent you will probably hear about. So the only thing is that you are the person, if you're a person who can adapt to any kind of accent, which means you will be comfortable to work in any kind of international team in the future. So that's probably the strategies that I'm trying to encourage students to do to deal with the accent problem here. Oh.
I think your answer is far way better than mine.
Not
You
really,
provided very good feedback on that. Okay, so I think Caroline, to what you just said, I also agree with you that strong accents wouldn't be a problem for students or professors. It's the audience responsibility to adapt into that accent. Okay, so we need to get our homework, maybe like you said about try to get a written slides or presentation notes from the lecturer or from the students, and they can help them to understand more, because listening is not the only way of learning. Okay, so I wonder if any of you have this kind of problems. Maybe you have an alternative to help us to improve our teaching. Feel free to leave your comments on the checkbox, because I haven't been able to see anything on the checkbox yet.